Hello, my name is Kitty Morse, and this is my Project 3 Locomotion for virtual environments. So today I decided to make three levels that defined three types of different locomotion. First disclaimer, I currently are not in the vicinity of a VR headset or have one, so I'll be trying my best to describe what it would be like if there was a VR headset on. Um, with the levels, I did definitely kind of want to go to like a Silent Hill kind of theme with everything on fire, kind of like everything's white and black. It is a little bright, but it works well with our different locomotions. Um, so the first one, which is this level, this one's based on controller based, which is basically the player uses a controller in their VR headset. They can use the joystick or analog pad to move around the level. For this, I definitely didn't want to like have it kind of the pathway straight. So the player, I do know that when they're like moving the analog stick, they can accidentally get spin around or something. So I definitely want to keep the pathway short. So they want to get motion sickness if they accidentally spun too fast. Also, too, they can just kind of walk right through and explore and look versus teleporting or doing anything extreme. So this is how it would look like. Um, so I play the level. The player can turn around with their controller and see the fire in the background. Then the player can go forward and they can follow these particle effects that helps them in this dark environment. And it's not too bright for the player, so the player doesn't have to constantly like if you enter a room and the light turns on, it doesn't get that effect. Um, Also, too, with the lighting in this level, it's slowly brightens, so it's not like bright instantly, which is nice for the player. So the player would just follow these particle effects all the way down. They can also look at the level as well. Also, too, it is darker towards the bottom and lighter towards the top, which also helps in our situation, so the player doesn't get blinded by the light or too much lights. So there's that particle, and there's that one, and this one. And this is the end of the controller-based one. So now I will show you the other one, which is level 2. So level 2 is almost like level 1, has exact same assets and everything, same feel, but instead the pathway is different. The reason for this is because this is a teleport locomotion. So the player, when the player points the analog or the controller, I mean, it is in a given direction, this will then create a virtual marker that they can teleport to. So with this level, I definitely did want them to still have the same experience if they were in the other levels. So I did make it a little bit longer, but it's mainly linear still. So that if they teleport too far, they still get the same experience and almost about the same amount of steps as the controller one and the other one. Also, too, like I said earlier, motion sickness. So the way this level is generated is dark towards the bottom and lighter towards the top, so they are not blended. Also, too, the particles are a little bit more spread out in the previous one because if the player accidentally teleports to it, it doesn't just like ends up in their face, but it's there to help guide the player. So I'm going to play this level. Still can turn around and see the inside of the building, but they're not necessarily starting inside because if they start inside, it might be weird trying to teleport out this door because it'll be like vision tunnel. So again, they'll follow the lines by teleporting to each one, and also too, like I said, with the lighting, it does help, but also too, the player does get the same experience. So if they teleport all the way over here, they still have like plenty of like sights to see. And this is the end of it. So that is it for teleport. Now let's talk about grab and drag, which is level 3. So if you are familiar with my final project for this class, then you'll see these blocks a lot. So basically what these blocks do is when the player grabs it, and they can grab and drag up. so it feels like they're climbing. For this level, I did want kind of like to feel like they're escaping like this crazy burning house. So the player grabs at each one and pulls themselves up like they're crawling. And also too, this level is the shortest of the three, mainly because they are grabbing a lot, and it would not be fun for the player to constantly be grabbing throughout the whole level. Also too, if it was like same amount as the other levels, they're more likely to get motion sickness since they're constantly grabbing and pulling, and then they're seeing all these flashing things. Also too, as you can see, there is no particles except the one at the end, because while they're grabbing and dragging, I did not want that particle to be right in their face as they're trying to grab, because that can also cause motion sickness. But what grab and drag is the user reaches out with the controller, extending their arms as far as possible, and then they pull the trigger, and then they pull the controller towards them. So this is how it would be like if I played it. So the player starts in the house, they can't turn around. It doesn't much offer a vision tunnel as before because they're not like teleporting through the door, they're just grabbing and dragging. And then they'll go down the steps, and then they'll grab here, here, and they'll constantly work their way up to the gate. Also, too, the fire is not as chaotic as before because I didn't want like the fire constantly distracting the player, getting in the way. There is fire to an extent. Also, too, the player can just like grab out of here, and reach the end right here. And then, of course, the player can always at any point turn their head to see what's around them. Also, too, since this is a grab and drag, it is slower than the other levels, so they don't really need as much foliage because they're still getting basically the exact same kind of size, but without it being physically the same size. And that is it of what I have for Locomotion. I hope you enjoyed my video, and thank you for watching.